In the UFC, we're used to the fact that the biggest stars are the ones who stay at the top for the longest time. However, as is often the case in the world of martial arts, even the most dominant champions can face unexpected defeats. In this video, we'll tell you about the most unexpected victories in UFC history, when underdogs defeated favorites or finished the fight in a way that left the audience unable to believe their eyes. Let's go. Number 1. Matt Serra vs. Georges St-Pierre. Let's start with one of the most shocking victories in UFC history, the fight between Matt Serra and Georges St-Pierre at UFC 69. St-Pierre was at the peak of his career, considered undefeated and widely considered a future champion for many years to come. But in this fight, Serra, who was an absolute underdog, managed to knock out Georges St-Pierre in the first round. This moment shocked not only the fans, but the UFC itself. Serra became the new welterweight champion of the world, and his victory went down in history as one of the most unexpected. Number 2. Holly Holm vs. Ronda Rousey. On to the next surprise win. Ronda Rousey, who dominated women's MMA, was a real star at the time, and her wins were coming along like clockwork. But Holly Holm was waiting for her at UFC 193. Many thought Rousey would be unstoppable again, but Holm surprised everyone by knocking Ronda out with a powerful kick to the head. Rousey went down, and Holm took the title. It was a moment that shook the MMA world. Number 3. Nate Diaz vs. Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor is a name that is always associated with victories and titles. But in UFC 196, Diaz, who was called up to fight on short notice, became a real nightmare for the Irishman. McGregor dominated the first round, but in the second, Nate, ignoring his punches, took over. In the end, McGregor gave up in a submission, and Diaz won, becoming the hero of the evening. This sensation showed that in MMA, even the brightest stars can face reality. Number 4. Brock Lesnar vs. Randy Couture. UFC 91 saw another unexpected moment when Brock Lesnar, who came to the UFC with a reputation as a wrestler but limited MMA experience, faced veteran Randy Couture. Despite Couture being a seasoned champion, Lesnar used his incredible physicality to shock the MMA world by knocking out Couture in the first round. The win was a breakout for Brock and proved that even without a ton of experience, you can beat those who are much more experienced. Number 5. Jeremy Stephens vs. Jose Aldo. Voiceover. Jose Aldo, one of the greatest fighters in UFC history, faced Jeremy Stephens at UFC on Fox 25. Everyone expected Aldo, a former champion, to easily defeat the underdog, but Stephens took the fight to the punch, knocking Aldo out midway through the second round. This fight was surprising because many thought Aldo would remain on the pedestal, but Stephens showed everyone that even the most experienced fighters can be defeated in the UFC. The history of the UFC is full of unexpected twists and turns, where fighters who seemingly had no chance step into the ring and work miracles. These victories remind us that in MMA, you can never predict the outcome of a fight. Everything can change in an instant. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel and write in the comments which fight you think was the biggest sensation in UFC history. Thanks for watching.